संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Dear friends, I want to tell you about this very special project. The Vedanta Center of North Carolina is an ashram which at present has a very small premises, but it has been expanding. The activities of the ashram have expanded, and the footfall of the devotees, large numbers of devotees and interested visitors have been coming here over the last 4-5 years, more than that. And the present facilities are entirely inadequate. Larger facilities are needed for the visitors and those who are going to come in the future. So there is the project of building a universal temple on the land already with the ashram. And this project is imminent. It has begun, and the construction is about to begin very soon. I would like to appeal to one and all to contribute whatever you can, however much you feel comfortable with, to this wonderful project. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that the best use of money is in the service of God and in the service of the holy. I feel that if there is one being who is not ungrateful, it is God. So when we offer our service and our resources, financial resources, or in whichever way we help, it is an offering to the Lord. It is also a very wise and insightful thing to do for the welfare of the community. The large numbers of Indians, immigrants who have settled in this Raleigh-Durham area is a wonderful investment in the future of the children, of your grandchildren. It's an investment in the future of the Hindu community here. The message of harmony and the message of service which goes out from this center and which will go out in the years and decades and centuries from this universal temple, it is of great benefit. It's a great blessing, not only to the community here in Raleigh-Durham, but to the state of North Carolina itself and to the national life of the United States. It's a most wonderful opportunity, and we feel blessed to be part of this great project. Please take part in it and please contribute to the best of your ability. This is my prayer. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishnaarpanamastu.
All right, namaste everyone, and welcome to our speaker event here today with Swami Sarvapriyananda ji. We're very honored to have him come and speak for Hindu Yua, for you guys, for the community of Raleigh, Morrisville, Cary, and it's a great honor and blessing to host him here at NC State. Swamiji did come to NC State 2 years ago and give a wonderful talk, and we have the privilege of having him here today again. So just before we start the event, I wanted to give a quick rundown of how the event's going to go and what to expect. So first, I'm going to give a quick presentation about Hindu Yua and who we are as an organization. And then Samrajji will be giving a presentation on Vedanta Society. This event is a collaborative event between Hindu Yua and Vedanta Society. And then the thing that you guys are all waiting for is Swamiji will come and talk and give his speech and his lecture. And after that, we will be having food distribution outside. So please make sure to grab the food. We have wonderful food here for you guys today. A few housekeeping things other than that also. Please keep your phones on silent. We want to be respectful of all the speakers, especially Swami Sarvapriyananda ji. And keep movements to a minimal. If you, of course, need to use a restroom or something, please go. But try not to get up just for the sake of getting up. Try to sit and concentrate on Swamiji's words. Also, if you have children or anything, just try to keep them calm. I know things can get antsy. Just make sure to keep them calm and everything, okay? So without further ado, let me start off with a quick presentation about Hindu Yua and who we are. So Hindu Yua is a socio-cultural organization that is across university campuses in the United States of America. Currently, we have over 70 chapters across the United States, and our goal is to practice, preserve, promote, and protect our Hindu Dharma. as people who have grown up in maybe in India or here, there's a lot of times when we're questioned on, are we proud Hindus? What's our culture? What's our religion? What are our rituals? Stuff like that. So just being able to be proud of who we are as Hindus, be able to embrace who we are and our cultures and everything that's behind it, and not be, ashamed of who we are. Because there's a lot to be proud of, don't you guys think? There's a lot to be proud of being Hindus. And I think definitely for the younger generation, people like me, I'm 19 years old, I grew up here. So there's a lot of times when you're questioned and you're asked about, hey, do we want to be Hindu, and stuff like that. Why are you Hindu? So it's important to have organizations like this to allow everyone to be proud of why we're Hindus. So it's also a lot of networking opportunities. Lots of students come from India for masters, PhD. So it's kind of like a family for these students that come together and have a network of people who they're like. So we conduct many events throughout the year. Hindu Yuva as a whole, there's a national organization that conducts events, but at NC State, I'll talk a little bit about the events that we do. So Diwali is one of the big events that we do. This is a picture from a while ago, but we have bigger Diwali events now. We pair with other student organizations on campus to do diya painting, firework lighting, stuff like that. And it's easy to get approval for stuff on campus for Diwali and all that. So this is one of our fun events of the year. Our flagship event is one of the biggest events of the entire school year between fall and spring semesters, our Ganpati Puja. So last year, 2024, we had about 500 plus students and people come from around the area for our Ganpati event, and we had the Dean of Engineering as our chief guest. So it's a great event. We have performances, food, we have Ganpati Puja, and it's a great fun event for people to take Ashirwad of Ganpati and also do the puja. And last year we actually had something new. We had a Dhol Tasha from the local community come and do Dhol Tasha. So that was a lot of fun. We had dancing and stuff for Ganpati. But that's one of our biggest events of the year. So we also have, I'm sorry, Sarvapriyananda is right there. This is from 2 years ago. But we have personality development events that across campus. So we have speakers come in like Swami Sarvapriyananda talk about different aspects of spirituality, being a student, and how to navigate life, because we're about to go into actual life, right? So we have different sessions that we talk about. We also have movie screening sessions. We had the Kashmir Files movie screening session a few years ago. So just important things to keep us aware of our Hindu identity and spirituality in that sense. So we also have team bonding events like going hiking, doing yoga days, stuff like that. Fun events, we have GBM, general body meetings, where we do different fun activities that allow students to express themselves, but also explore their Hindu identities. So this year we also had the National Hindu Yua team held a conference in Los Angeles called Sankalp, and Hindu Yuas from all across the United States went, and this is just a picture of some of our Hindu Yuva members that went to that. It was at a mandir in LA. That was a wonderful event to bond with other Hindu Yuva chapters and see what they're doing, what we can do, and just have a collaborative, big Hindu society kind of for youth. So I don't know how many of you guys are still in college, but if you guys are interested in joining, if you are in college, we do have contact for that. If you have any questions for Hindu Yuva, want to schedule more events, stuff like that, you can definitely contact the Hindu Yuva email address. We'd love to have your support on Instagram and stuff like that. But thank you again for coming, and we hope you have a wonderful event. Now, before I get off the stage, I'd want to invite Samratji to give a small talk on Vedanta Society. Please.
Swami Sarvapriyananda and good morning everyone. My name is Samrat Das and I have the honor of being the president of Vedanta Society. Who are we, right? So that's our guiding principle, even though we are rooted in Hindu spiritual traditions, but we are a non-sectarian organization and we are open to people of all faiths. So our guiding principle is one of universal service, which is Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitaya Cha. So for one's own spiritual growth and for the welfare of the world. Our focus is not so much on practicing organized religion, but on spiritual upliftment and serving humanity. Teachings of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa, Holy Mother Sharda Devi, and Swami Vivekananda are central to our work. Swami Vivekananda has had a transformative influence on the spiritual life of America, and it all started when he came to the First World Parliament of Religions in 1893, and his powerful words touched the hearts of many. And I encourage all of you to explore his teachings further. To quote just one of Swamiji's profound thoughts, he once said in a talk at Thousand Island Park, New York, "It is our privilege to be charitable. The poor man suffers so that we may be helped. Let the giver kneel down and give thanks. Let the receiver stand up and permit. See the Lord in every being and give to him. Serving all these is the same as serving God himself." So I invite you to reflect more on Swamiji's teachings. One wonderful place is actually this PBS documentary, which is called America's First Guru, in which our esteemed speaker Swami Sarvapriyananda ji is interviewed. The film provides very good insight into the deep and lasting impact Swamiji's teachings have had in the West. With that spirit in mind, I would like to bring to your attention a new project we are embarking on. We are on the verge of building a new universal temple in Morrisville. This will be a place where people from all religions and faiths can come together for spiritual growth and selfless service to others. So we are in the process of building a 4,000 square foot facility, and there will be a separate 1,300 square foot monk quarter. The foundation has been designed such that we could double up the square footage and allow a future expansion. We are also working toward bringing a monk from the Ramakrishna order to help guide our community. The Ramakrishna order is a worldwide non-sectarian organization and has monks who make incredible sacrifices to inspire and uplift others. And one such esteemed monk, Swami Sarvapriyananda, is with us today, and we are honored by his presence. As a center, we deeply believe in service to humanity, and while we may be small in size at this time, our impact is growing. For example, during Hurricane Helene, we donated nearly 700 pounds of essential supplies to those in need. So our center is built on principles of selfless service, and we hope that our new temple will allow us to expand these efforts. Earlier this month, we had the privilege of breaking ground of our new temple, and we are currently in the process of land clearing. And I'll play a little video clip from ABC 11 where it was reported.
New Year's Six new temple coming to Morrisville. Local Hindu leaders gathered at the site on Globe Road to lay the first bricks for the future temple. And they also say this is a universal temple, and people from all faiths can attend all events and services that will be hosted there.
So, a lot of people have asked those who have visited our temple in the past, do you really have the space to build all this? And we don't see the space where you're going to build this. And this is how it looked at the back of our temple. All dense bamboo forest is what we would call. And then I would show you some pictures, aerial view. This is all cleared out now. And if you see right there is the building at the corner, current building, and then all of that area is now open. This is a little video, aerial shot of how it appears from the top, and you'll get a good sense of how much land we have for our new universal temple. Right there is our current building. All of that land is, again, another one. If you see, all of that land is available to do our new building. And that's our current building. That's going to be converted to a monk quarter. And this is just a picture of most revered Swami Gautamananda ji, who is the president of Worldwide Ramakrishna Mission. He's blessing the project, which you see on the top picture. And the other picture is with all of the board of trustees of Belur Math, again the headquarters of Ramakrishna Mission, where they accepted our application to be considered for sending a resident monk here. So come visit us. This is our website. You'll get a lot of information about all of our activities there, and come visit us and definitely be part of this movement we are trying to generate here. And with that, I would now, welcome Swamiji now. Or, okay, for welcoming, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Samratji, for introducing the Vedanta Society. It's an absolute joy and privilege to have Swami Sarvapriyananda with us today. Since January 2017, Swami Sarvapriyananda has been the minister and spiritual leader of the Vedanta Society of New York. Swamiji joined the Ramakrishna Math in 1994 and took sannyasa in 2004. Over the years, he has dedicated himself to teaching and serving in various roles with the Ramakrishna Mission, including as an acharya at the Monastic Probationers Training Center at Belur Math, India, and as the Assistant Minister of the Vedanta Society of Southern California. He also served as a Nagral Fellow at the Harvard Divinity School during 2019 and 2020. Swamiji's wisdom and clarity have made his talks on Vedanta widely popular across the globe. His engaging presentations have inspired countless people through both in-person events and online platforms. Swamiji has shared his insights at esteemed forums like TEDx, Google Talk, and universities such as Harvard. He has also been involved in enriching dialogues with thought leaders like Deepak Chopra, Rupert Spira, Rick Archer, David Chalmers, and Sam Harris. Swamiji has played a significant role in interfaith discussions as well, speaking at major events like World Parliament of Religions in Toronto in 2018 and at the United Nations headquarters in New York. His teachings have also been compiled into e-books including Who Am I, What is Vedanta, and Dissolve into Infinity, and available on Amazon Kindle. So today, we feel truly blessed to have Swami Sarvapriyananda visit us, and we are looking forward to hear his thoughts and insights as he shares his wisdom with us. Now, I would like to invite Swamiji and Tanmay to present a bouquet to Swamiji as a token of our respect and gratitude. Please join me once again in warmly welcoming Swami Sarvapriyananda.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many people here, especially so many young people from the university here, undergrads, from other universities nearby. People I hear, they have come from distant parts of the United States, including at least one family from North Dakota. So, welcome. And thank you for coming here and joining us. I'm grateful to the Hindu Yua, to Tanmay. He forgot to tell you that he was here a couple of years back, when I was giving that talk. He was in the audience. And now he's organizing this event. Thanks to Tanmay and his team Thanks to the Vedanta Center of North Carolina and all of you. The subject which Dr. Das has set for this morning, I was told to speak about in general, about the allure of Vedanta. And I was thinking, what is it that attracted me long back? I was a kid and I was interested in all of this. Why was I interested? What is it that pulled me? And just yesterday, I got a clue. Yesterday, we had a talk at Duke University, and when I was coming out into the parking lot, a little girl, she came up with her dad, and her dad said, we had a long Q&A session. The dad said, one more question. My daughter, she was about this big. She has a question. I didn't have the heart to refuse. I was making good my escape, actually. But I didn't have the heart to refuse, and I said, of course, what's your question? And a little girl said, is God real? Is God real? And I said, yes, God is real. And God is more real. What we are talking here, you're standing here, your dad's here, I'm here. Is this real for you? And she said, yes. And I said, God is more real than this. The reason I said it was, I remembered a similar question another little girl had asked. So this girl is now elderly. She is above 80 now. She's a noted philosopher and emeritus. And she told me a story which goes decades back. There was a great mystic saint in India, a woman, a lady saint, Anandamayi. Some of you have heard of her. If you have heard, raise your hands. Has somebody here seen her? There are a few, yes. I have never seen her. This was before my time. But this lady who is a professor, I will not name her. She's a professor of philosophy. And she told me that her parents were close to Anandamayi. And she, as a teenager, as a little child and as a teenager, used to visit Anandamayi because her parents used to take her there. And as a teenager, she started reading books on philosophy. She must have been precautious. She said, I became skeptical. Does God really exist? Is all of this real? And I decided to ask Anandamayi. So she gave a very vivid description. In an afternoon, it was in Banaras. In the afternoon, she goes to Anandamayi. Anandamayi is lying down on a what we call a madur in Bengali, a mat, on a coir made of bamboo and coir on the floor. And this girl, she comes in and she says to Anandamayi, she said, I said to her, Ma, all these things you talk about God and stuff? She said, yes. It could be unreal, it needn't be real. Is God real? And she says, Ma she sat up, she was lying down, she sat up on the mat and she said, come here. And I went and sat down next to her. And she looked at me and said, here we are sitting and talking. Is this real for you? And I said, I mean the lady. She said, yes, this is real. Then let me tell you. She looked directly into my eyes. She was telling me. Ma looked into my eyes and said, let me tell you, God is more real than this. And this lady, she told me that at that moment until today, decades later, at that moment I knew she was telling me the truth. Something within me said, this is true. Until today also, I believe it is true. And all my life, I have studied philosophy, I have taught, researched, written books and books. She's a noted philosopher. And all my life, I've struggled to prove it rationally. I don't think I have succeeded, but I know that is true. That's what turned Narendranath into Vivekananda. He was a young student in the late 19th century in Calcutta. And he went around asking, there were many spiritual teachers there, went around asking them, not is God real, not even that. He was even more direct. Have you seen God? Have you seen God? And finally he found an answer, a direct answer to a direct question, a blunt answer to a blunt question, even more direct, even more blunt, from his future guru, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He said, sir, have you seen God? And he said, yes, I have. As I see you, more clearly than that. You see, as real as this, more real than this. I think that is the allure of Vedanta. that it makes spirituality, God, enlightenment so very real, so very possible, so very accessible. When I was growing up, we had these books written by Vivekananda and other spiritual books at home. And I would read. I was a bit of a bookworm. And I was lucky, I think, in a certain sense, to be the last generation before cable TV, certainly before internet. So all entertainment was books. And we had these spiritual books at home. No, but I was also lucky. Later I realized my mom and my dad, they were spiritual, they were devotees, but they never trusted on me. I now realize when I see all these enthusiastic people about Vedanta, especially moms, the first thing they do when they become enthusiastic about spirituality, about Vedanta, they thrust it on the kids. One of the questions is, how do I make my son or daughter interested? Well, my first answer is, don't. Be very careful. This is a very precious, very valuable thing, most precious thing in our lives. Don't create a resistance in young minds by trying to thrust it upon them. Sometimes that happens with all good intentions. Parents are your best friends, when I tell young people, but they are not very wise best friends. So, I was also very lucky in the sense that my parents never thrust it on me. It was always continuously available to me. And if you're interested, that's the best way. We have a monk, a brilliant young monk who is a noted scholar, Swami Medhananda. Some of you may have heard about him. And he grew up here in the United States, in Boston. Somebody interviewed him and asked him, how did you become a monk growing up here in the United States? And he said, when we grew up, I and my sister, my parents, like all Hindu parents in the community, many of you will have the same experience. They used to drag us to the Hindu temple. We were not at all interested. We were thoroughly bored. But we went because the reason we went, this is for Indian parents here, the psychology. The reason we went was there were other kids like us in that community. We could make friends there. But he said, it's only after I grew up, only after I went to university, he was in UC Berkeley, I started reading Shankaracharya, his commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. I learned Sanskrit. And then I discovered this stunning treasure, this most profound wisdom directly waiting for us. And so that started off a spiritual journey. And that happened to me also, I think. As a kid, I started reading the famous French philosopher and scientist Pascal. He says, leave good books lying around in the house and the child will take care of its own education. Was true at least at one point. In a certain sense, it's still true. Don't thrust it, don't push it on the child. I felt, if this is real, what Vivekananda is writing in these books, then what could be more important than this? Somehow I felt drawn to it. I must get to the bottom of this. If God exists, I should be able to experience God. And when Vivekananda says God realization, self-realization is the goal of life, this is what we are really looking for. Whatever we do in life. Aurobindo later said, life itself is yoga. Yoga is a spiritual path. So do it wisely and you will be called a spiritual seeker. Do it otherwisely. You will say, I'm just living life, I don't believe in all that stuff. That's still spiritual practice. It's just knocks and blows. Slowly over time we mature. So, life itself brings us to this spiritual quest. Can I experience God? That was one part of that movement, that pull towards spiritual life. It is possible to experience God. Not only is it possible, it is what we are all seeking for. And somehow that felt real to me. That felt like that is the thing that I should pursue. That was the allure. Vivekananda, when he came here to the West, he would often introduce Vedanta with these words from the Upanishads. Shrinvantu vishve amritasya putraha aye dhamani divyani rastu vedaham purusham mahantam aditya varnam tamasah parastat tameva viditva ati mrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyati ayanaya. What does it mean? Beautiful, very ancient Sanskrit, but very beautiful, very evocative. It means, we don't know who said it, some sage, rishi in far back whose name is forgotten to us, said that Listen, ye children of immortal bliss, Amritasya putraha. The first thing that we know about ourselves is we are going to die. Whatever happens, God exists or does not exist, religion is true or not, I'm happy or unhappy, whatever it is, death is, somebody said life is a terminal disease with 100% fatality rate. So, death is certain. And this sage says to us, children of immortal bliss, you are immortal. Just the opposite of what we know for certain. Just the opposite. You are immortal. And even if there are gods in heavens, you do not know this knowledge. This Vedanta I'm going to talk about. Listen, you listen too. What is this knowledge? This most ancient and yet most new of all knowledge. Central. One thing you should know. Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda's guru, was fond of saying, this knowledge of Advaita Vedanta, what we are going to talk about today, just put it in your pocket and then do whatever else you want in life. I mean, he said it in Bengali, Achole Vedhe. The women wear saris, and in the old days they would tie the keys to the hem of their cloth, to the sari. So it's just like that. Tie this knowledge to the hem of your cloth and then do whatever else you like. And you can meditate, you can be a bhakta, devotee, you can serve the world, you can be a great philosopher and a teacher of jnana, you can do science and art and whatever. You'll be happy, you'll be fulfilled. You have got the central truth. Like Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the one before all the zeros. He would say, you line up all the zeros, you'll still have a zero. But if you put one before the zeros, then every zero has a value. And the one has a value too, in itself. And it lends value to all the zeros. 1 zero is 10, 2 zeros is 100 and 1,000, so on and so forth. So, the sage says, Vedaham Purusham Mahantam. I have realized that infinite being. Purusham Mahantam, infinite being. There is some ultimate reality. There is some infinite reality. And I have realized that. It's also realizable. It's not unknowable. If you read the greatest revolutionary in Western philosophy, Kant, he comes pretty close, but he leaves it at saying that it is unknowable. The thing in itself, ding in sheik, it is unknowable. And here Vedanta says it is knowable. It is realizable. Not only it is realizable, we must realize it. We must be able to realize it for ourselves. I have known that ultimate reality. Vedaham Purusham Mahantam. This ultimate reality, supposing it exists, what is it like? What is it like? It is, he says, Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastar, blazing forth like the sun, forever beyond darkness. Infinite existence, consciousness, bliss. Light, not a material light like this. It is the light of consciousness, that which gives us awareness and experience in this world. Limitless being, limitless awareness, limitless fulfillment. Aditya Varnam, and continuously luminous, expressed, always available. Vivekananda called it the open secret. We might think it's all mysterious, it's all very subtle, it's something new for us. It is, but it's also continuously available to us and easily and directly available to us right now. And what happens if you realize this? He says, Tamasah Parastat, forever beyond darkness, forever beyond the darkness of death, of human limitation, of sorrow, of suffering. What we are seeking to overcome suffering, what we are seeking to attain deep, lasting fulfillment. Tameva viditva ati mrityumeti, realizing that alone, one goes beyond death. This is the result. We might ask, what do I get out of this project? Sounds like a lot of trouble for nothing. Tameva viditva, knowing that alone, one goes beyond death. Here, if you think a little more deeply, it's interesting. It is there's a lot of meaning implicit in that. How is it that, supposing there is a God, there is an ultimate reality, there is an absolute, but I realizing it, how do I go beyond limitation? How do I go beyond death? I mean, the sky is big. By looking at the sky, I don't become big. There's maybe a rich and powerful man. Looking at a rich and powerful man, I don't become rich and powerful. But by knowing this reality, I become immortal. I become infinite. I go beyond death. I go beyond suffering. I attain limitless fulfillment. How is that possible? I knowing something else, I become that. How? Only in one case, if it is not something else. If it is you yourself, if it is I myself, if it is somehow, in some way, it must be I, it must be my own nature. And therefore, here you see the whole Tattvamasi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. It's all hidden here. Tameva viditva ati mrityumeti. By knowing that one goes beyond death. Therefore, what's being said here? What's being said here, that infinite reality is actually you, your own real nature. Tameva viditva ati mrityumeti. Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yasmin stito dukkhena gurunapi na vichalyate, centered in which heaviest of sorrows cannot shake you. Getting which, yan labdva na chaparam labham manyate tato adhikam, attaining which you do not feel there is anything higher to be attained. It is the highest fulfillment and is the greatest protection against sorrow and suffering. Great philosopher Wittgenstein said, religion is a quest for ultimate security. Nicely put. Religion is the quest for ultimate security. And Vedanta is telling us, one, it's real, it's possible. Two, it is you. It's directly available to you as your own real nature. Is there no other way of getting fulfillment? We know lots of ways of getting fulfillment. TikTok is one way of getting fulfillment. If you're bored, entertain yourself. If you're sick, go to the doctor. Everybody's talking about the allergies and the pollen. I've never seen anything like this. We were driving here and there were these clouds. I thought it's like a dust storm or the forest fires in California or something. No, it's just pollen. So if you're sick, you go to the doctor. If you're bored, you switch on the TV or watch something on the internet or something like that. So isn't it possible to overcome sorrow by worldly means? And then the Rishi says, Nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way. Every other worldly way we take up, whether it's entertainment, whether it's pleasure, it's power, it's achievement, it's science, it's politics, whatever it is, it will not suffice. We are bigger than that. That's the history of the 20th century. The Nietzschean death of God. In the 18th, 19th century, God is dead. Now, what will fulfill us? What are we looking for? Where is infinity for us? Where is limitlessness, transcendence for us? And the history of the 20th century is a series of attempts to replace God. The poet says, we have a God-shaped hole in our collective psyche. And our attempts to replace, to fill in, plug in that hole. We have tried art. The Western world, I live in Manhattan, you worship art, creativity. You tried political activism. You tried social causes. So many different ways of trying to fill up the God-shaped hole left in humanity's psyche. One philosopher says, I wish religion was true. I wish it was true. He talks about the Greek worldview. He talks about the Christian worldview, the modern worldview, and the postmodern worldview. I'm talking about the French philosopher Luc Ferry. And he says, someone asked him, which one do you want to be true? And he said, I wish the Christian worldview were true, religion were true. That would be the best. But today I cannot go back to it. It's an educated, thinking, sensitive, trained person, rational thinker. You can't take religion seriously. How can you take religion seriously? Vedanta is the answer to these questions right now. From the modern worldview, from the postmodern worldview, powerful answers to these questions. We failed in the 20th century. We failed to replace religion. Religion itself as it stands can't come back because it stands discredited. If you're rational, it's very difficult to believe in all that stuff. How will you be spiritual in this 21st century? That's the answer. The Vedanta proposes an answer. There is there's a funny solution to this. Buddhists, they are the masters of the emptiness people. Shunyata, empty. Yes, so it's a very profound philosophical concept. And somebody said, the Buddhists filled up the God-shaped hole with a hole-shaped God. Shunya, zero. A hole-shaped God. The ultimate reality is shunyam, or empty. That apart. What Vedanta does is, now we'll go into the inner, this source code, the inner secret architecture of Vedanta. Under the hood, what's going on under the hood? You open the hood and see what's going on in there. Somebody joked that old American saying, under the hood, what's going on under the hood? In the new Tesla car doesn't appear, work in, the electric cars, open the hood, nothing. So it's in the back, like a Volkswagen, open that, nothing. So, what's going on under the hood? What Vedanta does is, you want certainty? You want it to be real? Yes. What's the one undeniable, most certain thing in this universe, in your life? The most certain thing, it's a no-brainer, we all know. Our own existence. Everything can be doubted. Even this world that we are sitting in this auditorium and talking, this can be doubted too. It could be like a Matrix movie. Nowadays you have very powerful virtual realities. Could be you're dreaming. Next moment you'll wake up, oh, I missed the lecture, I was napping. I was dreaming I was in the lecture. Could be. How do you know? There is no logical way of saying that this is absolutely real. It took Descartes 300 years, 400 years ago, come to a conclusion which the Vedantists had already come to more than 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. Our own existence is the only thing that which cannot be doubted. If you doubt, do I exist? It could be a dream that I exist, but then I'm still dreaming it. I'm still the dreamer of that dream. If you doubt your own existence, think about it. It's one of the most profound conclusions in modern Western philosophy. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I exist. Everybody thinks we can come up with new arguments and disprove the old stuff, challenging Descartes. Nobody has succeeded. This is really a solid result. That I exist. I think, therefore I exist. It's not just I think. David Chalmers recently has pointed out, you could just say, I talk, therefore I exist. I walk, therefore I exist. I enjoy or I suffer, therefore I exist. Any conscious experience proves to you, you exist. Our own existence is beyond any doubt. Vedanta starts with that. Vedanta doesn't start by saying that there is God or heaven and you have to believe. No, all that will come later. But we start with ourselves, something that nobody can doubt, logically impossible to doubt. It's a necessary existence. Our own existence. Now one might say, all right, our own existence, fine. But what's so great or big about it? I exist. That doesn't do any... in fact, that's the problem. I have so many problems. I have, if you're a student here, you have academic problems. I know when I got a chance to be a student, you were just saying, in the Harvard Divinity School, always students have not only academic problems, are more their parents' problems than their own problems. But they have problems like relationship problems, food problems. Students are always hungry. So I knew as a monk in the Harvard Divinity School, we would always turn up for those seminars where pizza was promised. And all the professors knew the only way to attract the students is to promise pizza afterwards or samosas afterwards, and they'll turn up. So we have problems, financial problems, health problems, relationship problems, political problems, social problems, what not. And when you become interested in spirituality and Vedanta and all that, we have spiritual problems then. An addition, extra layer of problems. My own existence is certain, but it is covered by problems. What Vedanta does is, good, you exist. Nobody can doubt that. Even the greatest of skeptics doesn't doubt that. Now what Vedanta says, investigate your own existence. Investigate your own existence, your indubitable existence. Ask the question, who am I? Or even more precisely, what am I? And our first pass at that question would be, yes, I am this. I'm just this. This body. So yeah, this body. And then we are asked to investigate. So Vedanta has these, it's difficult to call them just intellectual arguments. They are more, Vedanta is more experiential knowledge. I like that term. It's knowledge. Clearly it's knowledge. But it's also experiential, because the moment we think knowledge, especially on a university campus, we think textbooks and readings and assignments and quizzes. It's all in the head. No, Vedanta is not all in the head. It is in the head. You need a very sharp head for that. But at the same time, it's also very real. Very real. In Vedanta, they would love the American phrase, keep it real. Americans say, keep it real. One very wise thing a monk told me in Vedanta is the way to keep it real in Vedanta is to be childlike. What does a child do? He gave an example. If you ask a child, what's a nose? A nose. What's a nose? A child will never say the nose is the organ of respiration and an olfactory sense organ. No. That's just dictionary. What will the child do? Nose. This. Straight away. This is the nose. In philosophy, this is called an ostensive definition. You point out the thing. Instead of describing it, what's a laptop? This is a laptop. What's a nose? This is a nose. So directly point to the thing in your experience that keeps it real. If I just say it's the organ of respiration and it's an olfactory sense organ, that's not real. You're trading many words for one word. You're exchanging the word nose for all these words. Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, said, do your words come from more words or do they come from silence? So more words, nose, this, and silences directly point to the reality. Vedanta do that, directly point to the reality. So this body, here it's real, this one, I am this. But then immediately we begin to see, Vedanta gives us these pointers, these arguments. Notice, this body has changed, you can't deny it. From birth and babyhood to childhood to teenage to middle age to old age, this body changes continuously. And we have this recognition. I am the same one. In that baby's body, in the child's body, in the teenage, in the young person's body, in the middle-aged person's body, in this body, and then ultimately. So I am unchanging, the body is changing. The unchanging and the changing cannot be the same thing at all. A thing which is changing continuously and that which is unchanging, the two cannot be the same thing. See, if you are sitting still and somebody is running around you, if you catch hold of the running around thing, either you'll be dragged along or that one will stop. You can't be running around and sitting still at the same time. You can't be changing and unchanging at the same time. I am the same being, whoever I am, whatever I am, but the body is certainly not the same. It has changed dramatically over time. Not only that, more subtle arguments. The body is an object. Notice, in our experience of life, there is subject and object. Awareness and its objects. I am the experiencer. By that I mean, I see, I hear, I smell, I taste, I touch. I am experiencing what? Objects. I, objects. Self, not self. So the subject and object are different. The seer is different from the seen. The knower is different from the known. And when I come, and as far as the world is concerned, this lectern or this microphone, I am experiencing it. And clearly I am not the lectern. I am not the microphone. The object is not me. That which is experienced is not self. Though that which experiences is the self. And this argument, this experiential knowledge that the self and the object, the subject and the object, the seer and the seen, they are different. When we come to the body, we find something startling. It is definitely an object, definitely. That's what happens when you go for your annual checkup. The doctor examines the body as an object, a biological machine, extremely sophisticated. But it's examined as an object, as a biological machine. And to you also, to me also, this body, for me, my own body is an object. I can see it. I can touch it. I can smell it. I can taste it. I can even hear my own heartbeat or my tummy rumbling if I'm hungry. So, all sense organs, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, they all objectify the body. The body is an object just like this object. And yet, I don't treat the body as an object. I think of the body as me, me, or at least mine. And I behave and I talk as if I am the body. Notice our sort of schizophrenic approach to the body. Sometimes I talk and behave, I am standing here. Body standing here. I am standing here. I will go there. Body. Or sometimes I say my body. So I or mine. But we are deeply connected with this body. And Vedanta is saying, take a look. It's an object. You are the subject. You are the knower. You are the experiencer. And so you cannot be the body. So drashta and drishya, the seer and the seen. Also, more subtle distinction, very powerful distinction. Let me make here. Consciousness and not conscious. We are all aware. We are all aware. When we see, when we hear, smell, taste, touch, when we think, when we enjoy, when we suffer, when we do Vedanta, when we understand, when we don't understand, when we believe, when we don't believe, accept, reject, whatever we do, when we are awake, when we dream, and indeed the claim is even in deep sleep, awareness or consciousness is constant. And whatever is an object is that which appears to consciousness. This is a subtle point. Our direct experience of ourselves as conscious, we experience consciousness only in ourselves, in my own self, nowhere else. So anything that appears as an object in consciousness is not conscious from my perspective, in my experience. You might say, what about the person next to me? Are you saying they're all zombies? Nobody is conscious here? But notice, when I look around and look at people, I experience their bodies. I experience their behavior. I can listen to their speech. But I am not aware. I mean, if I were a telepath, I would be even aware of the thoughts of the person. But I'm never aware of the consciousness as such in that person. Think about, it's an interesting thought experiment. Something that even in the philosophy of mind, nobody has thought about so far. What would it be like to experience the consciousness of another person? And you will see it's a futile question. It's a ridiculous question. It's a meaningless question. If you grasp that it's a meaningless question, then you begin to realize what consciousness is in itself apart from the body mind. I want us to appreciate why you cannot experience consciousness as an object. Why you cannot experience the consciousness of another person, another being, for example. If you were, what could you do? At most, you can experience their thoughts. You can experience their feelings. But the way we are defining consciousness here, thoughts and feelings are also objects. Anything that is experienced is an object. If I have a thought now, I understand what you are saying, Swami. I don't understand what you are saying. I like this. I dislike this. These are thoughts. These are feelings. But since we are aware of them, they are also objects. Vedanta says they are objects as much as this table. So even thoughts and feelings and emotions are objects. Apart from thoughts, emotions, sensations, what is consciousness in itself? Only this pure subject experiencer. It can never be an object. And to experience something, it must be an object to you. Can you ever experience consciousness as an object? The only way you can experience consciousness is by being conscious yourself. Then it becomes your consciousness. You can never experience the conscious, you can never objectify the consciousness of another. So never experience the consciousness of another being as an object, only as you, the subject. And therefore, anything that appears in consciousness is an object. Body is an object. Go further inside. Our most precious thoughts, feelings, things which we thought, I am this mind, I am this personality. Those are also objects. The mind is constituted of thoughts, emotions, perceptions, memories. What we call my personality, also an object. I was reading, Vivekananda gave a very powerful example. In those days, telescopes were latest technology. Huh? He says, if you look at through a telescope and a lens and looking out to the moon or the sun or something else, a heavenly body, and there's a speck, a dot on the lens, on the glass. He says, this human personality which we have, this body, mind, I, he says, this is not really you. This is a speck on the glass. And what are you? You are actually that bright, luminous, heavenly body, limitless awareness. You are experiencing the universe through the glass of the telescope of mind, body, senses. And what we consider the mind, body, senses is like a speck on that glass. It's not you. You're much vaster than that. So I am not the body, not the mind. Adi Shankaracharya sings in his famous 6 stanzas on Nirvana, Mano buddhya hankara chittani naham. I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the emotions, I am not the memory. And even more paradoxically and stunning, I am not I am not the ego. I, ego, ahankara naham. Then what am I? Being not mind, body, ego, intellect, memory, I am this limitless awareness. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, Shivoham. Not as a matter of belief. Remember where we started? I exist. Not a matter of belief. Indubitably, I exist. Now we are investigating, what am I? What is it that exists? And I find, if I question, if I use arguments like changing and unchanging, if I use arguments like the subject and the object, arguments like conscious and not conscious, then I find I am the unchanging subject, conscious subject. And everything that I experience is the ever-changing, non-conscious object. So this unchanging, luminous consciousness, the pure subject, this is what is called self or Atman in Vedanta. The claim is, if you understand it clearly, it is indubitable. It cannot be refuted. Not only it cannot be refuted, it's not an intellectual speculation. It's not being projected as a possibility. The claim here is, if you understand it clearly, you will see it as a most obvious fact. The first fact, in fact, prior to all facts, it is to that limitless consciousness which you are that all facts are presented. You exist, therefore the world appears to you. You exist, therefore the senses operate and present to you knowledge. This is true, this is false, but the basis of all knowledge, behind everything, all experience, happiness and pleasure, sorrow, is this one limitless consciousness. Now Vedanta goes further, says that you are this Atman, this Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, you are that. And being, not knowing that about yourself, and being identified with this limitless, this little body and mind, this little speck on the glass, being identified by that, and thinking, I am this one only. I was born on such and such date, and now I'm so many years old. Now I am aging, and soon I'm going to die. I am this little being, and hence entirely dependent on this material world and on this society, on these other people. I am dependent physically, I am dependent materially, I am dependent psychologically, for approval, for care, for love. All of these I am entirely dependent. Dependence is sorrow. And we will inevitably, we will feel threatened, we will feel insecure, we will feel anxious, we make mistakes as little beings, so we will feel guilty, and a life of sorrow ensues then. So this is the Vedantic analysis of our human condition, and says this prison is not really a prison. It's already, the gates are open. The gates are always open. In India they have these very nice little analogies they give. There are those hunters who used to capture birds and sell them in the markets and all. So parrots was one thing. So it's a saying in Indian villages among these hunters, the way you catch the parrot, what they do is they put some seeds, the parrot comes on there's a little branch or little twig. When the weight of the parrot, when it lands on it to eat the seeds, it turns the thing upside down. So the parrot is sitting here, it finds itself sitting like this, and it instinctively grasps hold of the stick tightly so that it doesn't fall. And then the hunter comes and plucks it off. It won't let go, it's so scared. But you might say it's ridiculous, why should it be scared? It's a bird, it can fly away. Somehow, it doesn't fly away, and the hunter catches it. How do you catch the monkey? This is a monkey, they put a narrow-necked jar and a couple of bananas in there. And the monkey puts its hand in there and catches hold of the banana, and the hunter comes and grabs hold of the monkey. The monkey can just let go of the banana and run. It won't. Its greed is holding that. It can't bring it out, and it's caught. And then the monkey itself is caught. We are like that. We have a depth grasp on body, mind, this person, because this is who I am. All your talk about God, Atman, consciousness, all sounds very theoretical. This is very practical, very real. Vedanta says even more real than this body, than this mind, is you. You have yourself admitted your own inner reality as the Atman. Standing on that, you begin to realize the Atman, which I am, this consciousness, awareness, this is my reality. This little body, this little mind, it appears in this reality. And therefore, I am always free of it. I am not trapped by the birth and the aging and the death of the body. I am not trapped by the depression and unhappiness and anxiety and fears of the mind. They come and go. In me, the limitless luminosity which I am, all the time. So Vedanta introduces us to ourselves. And then this has the greatest, most wonderful effect on the mind itself. It's a great calming, strengthening and steadying effect on the mind. When we think in this way, when we begin to understand who am I, the mind is calmed, mind is strengthened. In fact, all the approaches in Vedanta, I'm talking about the Advaitic approach, the non-dual approach, but also the devotional approach, bhakti, the approach of karma yoga, service, the approach of meditation, all of them are basically to strengthen the mind against suffering. I mentioned yesterday at the HSNA temple, HSNC temple, that this saying, which I heard from a monk, we think it is because of samsara that my mind is upset. But it is actually because my mind is upset that I have samsara. In Hindi, आप सोचते हैं कि संसार के चलते मन अशांत है, लेकिन महात्मा जी मन अशांत है इसीलिए संसार है. It is because our mind is disturbed that the world seems so problematic for us. I give the example of doctors often, that you deal with hundreds, thousands of patients, and you know surely sometimes you have these minor conditions and the patient is absolutely broken down, upset. And sometimes you have life-threatening conditions and the patient responds with calmness and dignity. So it's not really the problem itself which is the cause of suffering. It's more our own minds, because all suffering is mediated by our own minds. Protect your own mind, you'll be free of suffering. Vivekananda says, the one simple spiritual practice, you want one thing to practice straight away from now on, he says, never let anything disturb your serenity. Try it, you'll be continuously attacked. The whole world will continuously try to disturb your serenity. Take it as an occasion to practice this spiritual practice. That, alright, there are troublesome people, there is pollen in the air, there is a traffic problem, lack of parking, I don't feel so good today. All of these say this is exercise for me. They're trying to throw me off my balance, disturbing my serenity of mind. I will not lose the serenity of mind. Try it, you will see it's a wonderful spiritual practice. And all of this jnana, knowledge, which we have been talking about till now, devotion, meditation, service, the four yogas, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, karma yoga, these are all powerful ways of maintaining the serenity of your mind. Jnana yoga, you can see, if I am the limitless immortal consciousness, if that's true, the one indubitable fact, what do I need to be afraid of? I have no fear. I have no hurry. I am at peace with myself. We'll see as it goes. Well, let's see. We'll enjoy life as it comes. Problems are in the body. Problems are in the mind, and I will deal with them. I am free of problems. I am the entirely problem-free, limitless consciousness. This is how the mind itself becomes serene. Second, devotion. Another way, suppose it is too much, too difficult, too strange to say I am limitless consciousness. Basically saying I am God. That's too difficult. We would like to say that, but somehow inside we say no, that's not really true. All right. The other way around also works, which is you say that limitless consciousness, existence, consciousness, place, it exists, and that is God for me. That is the basic idea behind the theistic religions of the world. Only problem is if you do that, then it becomes a kind of a matter of belief for you. If you distance it from yourself. Remember, the certainty comes from your own existence. If you distance it from your own certainty, then it becomes a kind of question. A little question mark comes there. How do you know that this God exists? You never ask, how do I know that I exist? Everything shows me that I exist. Anyway, but the path of devotion, it takes a little faith. The path of devotion is based on faith. The path of knowledge is based on inquiry. You must look in. You must keep it real. Nose. Path of devotion is based on faith. All right, I will accept. I believe all sorts of nonsense anyway about the world. This one very helpful thing, let me believe, God exists. God is real. God can be experienced. God can be felt. God can be realized. That God is this limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. I set up a relationship of faith, of surrender, of devotion, of prayer. It's real. It's a testimony of thousands of years of human civilization in every religion, every theistic religion of the world which believes in God. You have had saints, men and women of the highest character, highest spirituality throughout the centuries who stand testimony to the fact, if you do believe in God, if you do depend on God, you will never ever be disappointed. Vedanta explains why. Because it's ultimately your own indubitable, limitless reality. But that you can worship as God. That also works. And that also gives a great peace, serenity to your mind, security to your mind. We are small. God is not small. We are fickle. God is not fickle. We are undependable. God is very dependable. I remember this very touching incident. A very senior monk of our order, very learned, and very high in the monastic hierarchy and so on. But every day in the morning, he wakes up before all of us do. In the main monastery there in India, the latest you can wake up is 3:40 a.m. After that, a polite bell will keep on ringing in your up. And he wakes up long before us. And he goes to the garden in the darkness and collects flowers from the shrine. And in the early morning after meditation, we see him sitting in the front of the image of Sri Ramakrishna main shrine in Belur Mutt in India and decorating the image with flowers. One day I asked him, "You're so learned, you're non-dualist, a great scholar. So why do you do this?" The idea being, this is for us, for beginners, temple and all this. And he said, such a touching thing he said to me. He said, "It is my deepest belief that Lord is not ungrateful. God exists. And God is the only one who is not ungrateful. If you do the least thing for it, you will get back 10,000-fold more. God does not let debts remain unpaid." So it's a very good thing to do something for God. Even as an experiment, as a hypothesis. Suppose God exists. Let me do this. Keep it private. I tell people who are hesitant about God, belief in God, religion. Doesn't matter what religion, any religion. If you have faith, you are blessed. If you don't have faith, do it as a hypothesis, as an experiment. And I say, you don't have to make it public. Keep it very private. The more private, the more rich it becomes. A secret love in your heart. Take a chance. Maybe God does exist. Omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, all loving, all good. Wonderful. You connect yourself to the infinite, you are safe. That's the way of bhakti, devotion. Then there is another way. The way of meditation. Where you go directly to the mind. The mind itself is the source of the problem. All right, let me calm the mind itself. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is cessation of the movements of the mind. All your good and bad in the world, happy and miserable, nice, desirable and hateful, whatever is going on in the world, interesting and boring, it's all mind. It's all mind. It's all movements in the mind. If we calm down the movements in the mind, in deep meditation, you realize that you are not the mind. It's like a screen, a veil. You are beyond the veil. You are under or behind the veil. Vivekananda compared it to a lake. Imagine a vast lake, very calm and clear. When the waves in the lake are calmed, when the water is clear, you see straight through to the bottom of the lake. There are very crystal clear lakes in the Himalayas also, and here in America you will find. You can see straight through. It's like glass. Similarly, he says, when the mind is pure and calm, two conditions. Calm down the mind through meditation, but also a pure mind. That's the hard work of spiritual life. Purification, inner purification. We have dumped a lot of rubbish into our inner world. You might not think so. It's only when we try to clear the stuff that it comes up. It's a struggle. So calm the mind and purify the mind, and you will see in the depths of meditation, when the mind is calm and peaceful and luminous, you will see the luminosity is different from the mind. You are that luminosity. The Buddhists have a very nice phrase for it. The clear light of the void. Clear light of the void. You are the clear light of the void. You will realize that. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Yoga Sutra Patanjali. It says, then what happens in the depths of meditation? The witness consciousness is seen in its real nature as pure consciousness. You realize clearly, I am this, and I always was. I am not the body, I am not the mind. Mind and body are incidental. They are appearances in me, the luminosity. Then I am fine. And even then, when you come back into this world, and the mind becomes active and the body becomes active, you remain very peaceful. You remain, you know. When the world gives hard knocks and the mind gets upset sometimes, but you always have this to refer back to. You can always look back and sink back into your real nature. So, another way of keeping the mind serene is meditation. We have already got 3 ways. What were the first 2? The way of knowledge, of inquiry, to see that I am luminous consciousness. The way of devotion, to project that consciousness outside and think of that as God and rely on that God, in whichever form you like. The way of meditation, to actually experience it for yourself when the mind is shut down. See, there are 2 ways. One is you can play the movie on the screen, and on the screen you will see many pictures. And you can shut off the movie and you can see the screen as it is now. If you shut off the movie, that's the way of yoga, of meditation. Shutting down the movie of the mind to see yourself as you truly are. The way of knowledge, what it does is, understand what is a screen, understand what is a movie, then you don't have to switch off the movie. When the movie is playing, then also when you're looking at the movie, are you not looking at the screen? We are looking at the screen. We all know it's a screen on which there are pictures. So, the way of knowledge is the way of inquiry of what is called viveka. I met somebody here whose name is Viveka. Vivekananda has come from that name. Viveka, you know what it means? Pritak karane, to separate 2 things. 2 things which are mixed up, to separate them. Sri Ramakrishna said, sand and sugar are mixed up. The ant can separate sand and sugar. It eats the sugar and sifts away the sand. Milk and water are mixed up. And there's an old Indian belief that the swan they call it kshira nira, water and milk. It drinks the milk and apparently it can leave the water. I don't know if it's true, but it's a belief. And then finally he said another example for which there is no English translation. He said, I'll tell you, all the Indians who know Hindi, Bengali, Oriya, they will immediately understand. He said, Gol male mala che, malti law golti bad dieda. So there's a word I'll try my best. Golmal in English, what would it mean? A mess, a problem, and chaos, noise. Yes. So all sorts of a mess, noise, chaos, that's called a golmal. And now Sri Ramakrishna is to play on words. Yeah, how much explanation it takes. So Sri Ramakrishna is to play on words. Mal in Hindi or Bengali would mean substance, reality. And goal means also chaos, just means the circle. So you can separate the mal from the goal. Let the goal go and take the mal away. That means in the chaos, in the mess, in the noise, in the disharmony, the reality is right there. You must be able to separate the 2. Catch hold of the divine in the midst of this appearance. Catch hold of that one pure consciousness which you are in the midst of this body-mind. And then you are through. So this discernment, this is the way of knowledge. While watching the movie, can you be aware of the screen? Yeah, it's pretty easy. Those who understand what a screen is. Those who don't understand what a screen is, they will say either 2. One will say, there is no such thing as a screen. Here are people, there are cops and robbers, this is action. What is a screen? Those who understand a little bit They might say, yeah, to see the screen, you have to switch off the movie. Then I can see the screen. Those who thoroughly understand what a screen is, they say, play the movie, switch it off, doesn't matter. The screen is there unaffected all the time. Even when you are watching the movie, you're actually watching the screen. Similarly, when you are engaged in life, with the body, with the mind, with people, with the world, you're engaged with divinity all the time. You're engaged with God all the time. It's continuously present. Now we understand Vivekananda's. Okay, we come to the fourth way, the way of service. Another way of protecting the serenity of the mind. These are all ways of protecting the serenity of the mind. Another way of protecting the serenity of the mind is to be not so concerned about the mind itself. One very counterintuitive thing, the more we are concerned about making I, me, myself happy, the less I will be happy. The more we are concerned with this little self, the less I'm going to be happy. Less I'm going to, the more the little self will be unhappy. The more I'm concerned with the larger self, with the world, with others. I have problems, doesn't matter. They will come and go, they're always there, who cares? I'm not endlessly focused on my own problems. Rather, I'm focused on what can I do for you. Swami Ranganathanandaji, 13th president of our order, he used to say, are you growing in peace within when you close your eyes in meditation? And when you open your eyes, are you growing in love and fellow feeling for everybody around you? Then you are growing spiritually. That is called spirituality. So this is the fourth path, the path of service, of being of use and benefit to the whole world. It will give you God realization. It will give you infinity. The moment you let go of the little speck on the glass which Vivekananda talked about, ignore it, you will see the vast luminosity immediately. It's because we are so focused on the little speck in the glass, we can't see what the glass is trying to show us. The little speck on the glass is this person. So these four great paths, way of knowledge, way of inquiry, the way of devotion, of love and devotion to God, the way of meditation, and the way of service. That I'll end with where Dr. Das began. Atmano mokshartham jagathitaya cha. The motto which Vivekananda gave, his whole teaching packed into it. For your own liberation and for the welfare of the world. This insight gives us liberation because we already are liberated. That's our own. Only thing that separates us from liberation is ignorance. And then our life becomes a life for the welfare of the world. Automatically. Whoever you are, wherever you are, your life will be a blessing. Blessing for ourselves and blessing for all those around us. All you have to do is put the one before the zeros, as Sri Ramakrishna would say. Let me do a peace chant and then we will conclude with Q&A and of course, food. Yes. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Yes, please go ahead. Let's start.
Swamiji, thank you. Thank you to be here and for your blessings. Because you have a discussion with David Charmer, Sam Harris, and Bernardo Castro. So my question is that if God is infinite, eternal, and omnipresent, encompassing everything and every time, and the consciousness in all things, why does the level of consciousness vary across creation? Why are objects like tables and chairs are not conscious at all, even though God is present within them? Why do plants and animals exhibit lower level of consciousness compared to humans? If God is pure awareness and is everywhere, why isn't everything equally self-aware? Does awareness require a physical structure such as a complex network of neurons or a brain-like configuration to manifest?
The answer to all of them is yes. That is true. Now when you say there are the differences in the level of consciousness, from an Advaitic perspective you can see there are no levels of consciousness. There are no differences in consciousness. All differences are in the object. So there are differences in bodies. This is a body, complex body with neurons and stuff. This is a body, much more simpler body. There are differences in minds. Our minds are all different, but they are all objects. Objects are different. There can be different levels, gradations, variations in objects. In the pure subject, there can be no difference. There can be no levels. You might ask, why not? Are you stipulating that? Is there some reason? If you just look at it, it will become pretty obvious. If there are differences, let me ask you, are those differences known or unknown? If they are known, then they are objects. If they are unknown, you say, no, let there be differences in consciousness, but they are unknown. If they are unknown, why speak of it? So unknown and unknowable, then don't speak about it. If the differences are clear, then definitely the differences belong to objects. And variation in an object is perfectly fine with Advaita Vedanta. Now, consciousness is manifest somewhere. You used words like self-aware. Yeah, we are self-aware. As far as we know, these things are not self-aware. Even ChatGPT is not self-aware, as far as we know. And if you ask ChatGPT also, it will tell you, I'm not self-aware. One person did an experiment. I tried my best to convince ChatGPT that it is conscious, but it refused. So I'm not conscious. So, self-awareness. Even sometimes we are self-aware, sometimes we are not. You're very absorbed in something, you're not self-aware. You're playing a game of tennis, completely absorbed in it. You have no time to think about anything, even about yourself. In fact, some of the highest, best moments of concentration are maybe you are not self-aware. You're playing somebody's a tabla player, a good instrumental music player. You know your best performance is when you are not self-aware. You practice and practice and practice, and then when you perform, you are not self-aware. If you are, I am going to play this way now, you're going to fail miserably. So, self-aware is a product of consciousness acting on the mind at certain times. That is not consciousness in itself. In fact, consciousness is very much there when you are not self-aware. Also, remember, let me go a little deeper in the philosophy of it, just mention this. I'm using words like consciousness. But by now, we must be quite, we get it, that we are not using words like consciousness in the way it is normally used. The way it is normally used in consciousness studies, in medicine, in psychology. That is this empirical, experiential consciousness we are talking about. This pure consciousness, this basis of all experience. There is no cognate to that, no corresponding word for that in English so far, or even in modern thought. But it was very well known in ancient India, not just in Vedanta, in Sankhya, schools of Buddhism, it was very well known. So that pure consciousness is also in Vedanta being, existence. Always we use the term Sat Chit. Now look at the world. Yes, everywhere we see existence. This exists, this is, that is, he is, she is, isness, existence is everywhere. In fact, where existence is not there, that thing doesn't exist. But only in our own case, in your own mind, you will find that existence is your own existence. Think about it. Our own existence in ourselves is also a shining existence. It is, I am and I'm aware. I am and I'm aware. That existence is also consciousness when we experience our own existence. In fact, the words I am, there are two parts to it if you look even more closely. Am means existential, it exists, is. But I is always a conscious I. So Sat and Chit are both present in that I am. We'll leave it at that. Yes.
Swamiji, I'm deeply grateful for your teachings. My name is Shrima, and my question is about the word Ananda, which is translated as bliss. So, unlike Sat and Chit, which is awareness and consciousness, which seems to be more certain, the word bliss seems to lend itself to some kind of quality or quantity. So I'm just wondering if that is,
yes,
if it's a better...
I understand what you mean, and people think about it this way also. When you say bliss, joy, bliss, ananda, the Sanskrit word ananda means this, ecstasy, bliss. It sounds cool, it sounds nice, and I would like to have some of that, but it sounds very psychological. It's in a conscious being, within the mind you feel some happiness. Isn't that what is meant? How can that be the ultimate reality of the universe? This is real, those things are they in bliss? So let's take a step back. When you say Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss is the ultimate reality of the universe, Brahman, and you are that. What we are trying to say is, This is an answer to the deepest questions of philosophy. Were you there in the Duke University talk? So, you know where I'm leading. The deepest questions of philosophy, the greatest questions we can ask. One, the question of philosophy which one branch of philosophy asks is, what's real? That's the branch we call metaphysics or ontology. Reality. What is reality and what is real in this world? Is God real? Are black holes real? Is superstrings real? Are demons and devils real? What is real? Is Harry Potter real? If so, in what sense? What is real? That's the branch called metaphysics or ontology. The second branch of philosophy, the big question is, how do we know anything? Because the moment you start talking about heaven, earth, God, free will, things like that, always the question, epistemological question will be asked. How do you know? Can you share your process of knowledge? So that epistemology, how is knowledge possible? That's the second branch of philosophy called epistemology. And the third branch of philosophy, we ask as human beings, what's the point of all this? Is there any fulfillment, any satisfaction, any ultimate fulfillment available in this world? Is there any ultimate goal, point, purpose to all of this? And Vedanta's answer is one answer to all three questions. What an amazing way of looking at Satchidananda. What is ultimately real? Sat, being itself, existence itself. How is any knowledge possible? Chit, consciousness. And what's the point of it all? Ananda, bliss. But these three, here's the answer. These three are not three different things. We are talking about one ultimate reality, which the way when we try to grasp it in with our intellect, we will have to say it is being itself, from which the whole universe, whatever exists, takes its existence from Sat. It is consciousness itself. All experience, what we call life itself, takes its reality from Chit. And the point of it all is because that ultimate reality is Ananda, it's bliss. In that sense, it is Ananda. For example, in the Upanishads, sometimes the word Ananda is replaced by Ananta. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Ultimate reality is existence, consciousness, infinity. So Ananda here, the very limitlessness of your own existence is Ananda. Let me repeat that. What do you mean by bliss? Is it a feeling, you feel good? Is that what is meant by bliss, Ananda? No. Your absolute clear knowledge. And one, I am, I exist, no doubt about it. Second, my existence is limitless. This certain limitless existence, absolutely certain limitless existence, if you contemplate it, you will say it is limitless bliss. It is fulfillment. It is what Wittgenstein called the ultimate security. That's why it's called Ananda. Now, practically, if you ask, so suppose if I realize this, will I get bliss or not? Come down to the brass tacks, the dollar value of it. Will I get some happiness or not? You will get lots and lots of happiness. Ultimately, does enlightenment have a smiley face emoji or not? It does. And what is the proof? You look at the lives of the great saints. They are very happy people. One thing common, they are very diverse, men and women throughout the centuries, different religions, different civilizations. But one thing was common to all of them. None of them was whining, grumbling and saying, yeah, I'm enlightened, but I still have some gripes. I have still a list of complaints. No. One thing common to all of them, they were deeply satisfied. In the midst of very difficult lives sometimes. Many of them had much more difficult lives than us. And yet somehow they had deep, endless wells of satisfaction within them. Yeah, that is Ananda. Thank you.
Swamiji, thank you so much for being here. My name is Matthew.
Yes.
I have the privilege of seeing you at all three events this weekend. But I did have a question I wanted to ask, and it's, I used to be one of the new atheists until I found you on Sam Harris's podcast and heard Drisha Viveka recitation. And I have to say, it was life-changing. I've been lucky to follow Vedanta for a few years now. My parents, on the other hand, are very, very strict Southern Baptists who would be, frankly, very, very upset if they knew I was here this weekend. Can you speak a little bit towards how Vedanta, which is inquiry-based, navigates a lot of the exclusivity claims of religions that are very prominent in the West.
Yes. So that's another thing. When you talk about the allure of Vedanta, another thing that attracted me to Vedanta and attracts a lot of people to Vedanta is, like Dr. Das said, the non-sectarian approach. How can Vedanta be non-sectarian? The reason being, listen, what we talked about today, the limitless existence consciousness bliss, it's common to all of us. You don't have to be a Hindu for it. The Hindus can lay this claim to it that we came upon it first and we developed it into a deep philosophy thousands of years ago. And a practical philosophy, step by step, you can realize it for yourself. That's a great thing. But it is common to everybody. It doesn't say that you have to belong to my religion to get the benefit of this, or you have to subscribe to my sect to get the benefit of this. No, 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 no. And not only is it non-sectarian, it's universal. Even if you don't believe in Vedanta itself, none of this what we said today, if you don't accept it, Vedanta will still say you are Brahman anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. A monk in the Himalayas, I still remember his voice in Gangotri. Tum mano ya na mano, jano ya na jano, tum hi Ram. Whether you accept it or not, whether you know it or not, you are Rama. So that divine nature within us will not change. So that's one thing on the basis of non-sectarianism in Vedanta. But the second, even more beautiful thing is, it does not deny or reject other approaches. This is clearly as an approach, as you said, a self-inquiry approach. Now, what is Vedanta's view about religions, about faith systems, belief systems? Vedanta actually explains all of them. It doesn't reject or deny them. It tells you, you begin to see from Vedantic perspective what's going on there. That also is real. That also will work. And the Vedanta makes you non-exclusive. It makes you very open. You can be as rooted as you want in your church. You can be as rooted, you should be loyal and rooted in your own spiritual path. Hinduism offers a tremendous variety, a bewildering variety, in fact, a colorful variety of different paths, different deities. That's because, how is it possible? Why don't they fight among each other? There's friendly rivalry. But a Frenchman visiting India in the late 18th century, I think, he give a very nice account of a fight between two sects in Hinduism. I think are Vaishnavites and Shaivites in South. He says they came, they shouted insults at each other, and then after some time, some yelling and some commotion, they left. It reminds me very much of a fight between cousins in the same family. Not the deadly strife that we have had in Europe between Catholics and Protestants for centuries, murderous warfare. No, not at all. Why? What enables you to accept so much diversity? Because this underlying idea, the truth is one, the wise speak of it differently. So in that church, there the elders are teaching you this is the meaning of Christianity and the Bible and Christ. That's also the wise speaking differently. The benefit of Vedanta is it stretches you. It tells you, you are right. If you like this path and you've been following it, follow it. Be sincere in your path and you will attain to the goal. But also, don't say, I have exclusive possession of the truth. The other person is also going to attain the goal in his or her own path. So, these two. One, the neutral, impersonal aspect, which is common to everybody regardless of belief. That's what makes Vedanta non-exclusive, non-sectarian. Second, all the other sects, Vedanta explains them, at least to ourselves. Other sects might say, I don't agree with your explanation. Fine, at least we agree. In our own mind, we understand religion works in this way. This is what Aldous Huxley called the perennial philosophy. I strongly recommend that book, The Perennial Philosophy. Not many people read it now. It's a beautiful collection from the world's religions showing the underlying unity of this great idea. The truth is one, the wise speak of it differently. Thank you. When do we have a hard stop?
So where does grace fall into that?
Yes. It is impersonal, but remember, it's not impersonal to the exclusion of personality. Right? It is the impersonal reality underlying all personalities. Vivekananda says, so Vedanta is impersonal, but with space for as many personalities as you want. If you start and limit yourself to a personal religion, what happens is it becomes exclusive. If I am devoted to God as this personality, whether it's Krishna or Jesus, I can always still become fanatical. Only this. Because clearly, here is one name, one form, one story. And anything else other than that becomes not spiritual, not religious, not even true for me. Whereas, if you're impersonal, you can say, yes, Krishna, yes. Rama, yes. Christ, yes. Buddha, yes. Muhammad, yes. The underlying impersonal reality can manifest in a wide range of personalities. Not to say that those are wrong or false. All of them are real because underlying them is one truth. But the one truth has to be impersonal. Then only it can support all personalities. It's like the formless water, which can appear in various forms of various icebergs, only because the original reality water is formless, and therefore it supports all forms. The water in this bottle has a particular shape. The water in a cup will have another shape. The water falling from the sky has another shape. All the shapes belong to water, but because water itself has no particular shape. So that's the idea of the impersonal personal reality. So in Vedanta, do you worship a personal God? Certainly. But all personal gods are equally welcome. So what do you do? Practically, as a Vedantist, do I have to worship a whole spectrum of gods? No. Here comes another idea in Vedanta called Ishta Devata, the desired or the chosen deity. So the Vedantist would say for Christians, the chosen deity is Christ and our Father in heaven. For the Muslims, the chosen deity would be Allah. For the Vaishnavite Hindu, the chosen deity is Krishna. But the Vedantist says all of them are that absolute existence consciousness, please. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question. Notice yourself. You are both impersonal and personal. You're a person. But when you do a Vedantic analysis, you find the impersonal absolute behind the person. And so it's the same thing for God also. Thank you.
Hi, Swami. Thank you for coming here. I've wanted to come to New York Vedanta Society. I pester my dad every holiday. I'm like, I want to see Swami Sarvapriyananda. And now you've come here, and I think it's a great blessing. My name is Niyantri.
Yes.
I said that. I came here and I was like, I have so many questions I want to ask. But through your talk, I developed one question that is separate from. I even brought this book. I had a question from that.
What's the book?
This is like personality development. It's just that compilation of Vivekananda talks. But when you were speaking, I had like a very specific thought that popped up when you were speaking of that story of the telescope. So when you said that the universe that you see with the telescope is the ultimate reality, and then that speck is like what I guess ego is what I understood from that, right? But I wondered, is that ego is also, or like Maya as we say, is also Brahman, is it not?
Yes.
So is the nature of Brahman to be unchanging completely, or is that nature of Maya actually like what it truly is? I don't know how to explain.
No, but I understand what you mean. Yeah, it's difficult to explain it because we are operating on the margin of language, where what language can do and cannot do. It's very difficult to put it into words. Think of Brahman in this way, not as unchanging. Brahman is said to be unchanging in contrast to the changing world, the change in samsara. So Brahman is unchanging. But Brahman is not even unchanging. Unchanging is something that has the possibility of change but is not changing. But Brahman is not like that. It's actually the ground of the unchanging and the changing. That which appears as the unchanging God and that which appears as the changing samsara, both are Brahman. The Buddhists put it this way: the primordial ground on which samsara and nirvana both appear, the limitless unchanging moksha and the always changing samsara, both are that Brahman. Both are appearances of that Brahman. Yeah. So this is the answer to that question. Did that make sense to you? Yes. Notice yourself as a body, as a mind, as a person, continuously changing, always in flux. But the real indubitable reality about yourself, that ground, that witness consciousness, that is beyond all these changes. Now will you say it's unchanging? You can say it's unchanging, but really when we say unchanging, it feels like an unchanging object. It's not an unchanging object. It is a witness of all changing objects. You might say it's even beyond the changing and the unchanging. Yeah, that's the way to look at it. Thank you.
Pranam Swamiji. My name is Parul, and my question comes from self-inquiry. Like when I'm doing self-inquiry, the seer and the seeing. When I'm seeing, I'm using my mind to tell myself and inquire who's seeing. And then during Neti Neti, my mind becomes an object, but during self-inquiry, I'm using the same knife to cut it out. So mind becomes a tool at that time. And then the thought of I'm not this mind, I'm not this body. Is it for the mind, or because the seer, the second bird, already knows it's Tattvam Asi?
Yes.
So when I do the self-inquiry, the second bird is already aware of
All right.
itself.
I think I understand where you're leading with this. See if this works for you. Answer is, it's all for the mind. It's at the level of the mind and all for the mind. But you are not at the level of the mind, nor are you for the mind. The mind is for you. You are already beyond the mind. But all sadhana, all meditation, all inquiry is at the level of the mind. One might ask, I'm talking about something beyond the mind, transcending the mind. How? But I'm using the mind all the time. How can I get beyond the mind by using the mind? That might be the question. And the answer is, you don't have to get beyond the mind by using the mind. You are already beyond the mind. The problem is at the level of the mind, and the solution should also come at the level of the mind. The problem is not you, the Atman. The problem is the ignorance which is in the mind. And knowledge should arise in the mind and remove the ignorance in the mind. And the mind, which we used to say earlier, I am body mind. The same mind should say, I am Satchidananda. Now your question might be, but the mind is not Satchidananda. It's an appearance. Mind is not the Atman. The mind is a part of the first bird. It's not part of the second bird. It's not the second bird. How can the mind say, I am the second bird? It can. The mind is an instrument. For example, let me give an example. I can say, I am happy. I am feeling happy. How did I say it? I said it with the entire vocal apparatus. The tongue said, I am happy. Is the tongue happy or is the mind happy? The mind is happy. But to say anything, I have to use the tongue. The tongue is an instrument which pronounces the statement, I am feeling happy, but it is referring to the mind. The mind can't speak directly by itself. When you say in the mind, I am the witness consciousness, it is referring to you, the witness consciousness. It's not referring to the mind. Mind is an instrument which expresses that knowledge. Tongue can speak. The mind can think. That's its purpose. You are beyond both speech and thinking. Yes. We should, yeah. I'll take the questions outside then, because we have to give a hard stop here. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much.
And I would like to begin by thanking Swami Sarvapriyananda for coming to our campus and giving this wonderful talk. Member Hindu Yua for volunteering and helping out this event, and also the staff of NC State for their technical support. And also I would like to thank Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of NC for their support and this continuous collaboration. We have been doing this since so many times, and it's very wonderful to this collaboration and sort of so much wisdoms of lectures we are having here, and we are very privileged to having these lectures. And finally, I thank the audience for attending and being patient throughout the lecture. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions and could not ask many questions, but as Swamiji said, he will be outside and take a lot of questions there. And last important announcement we have food outside, so before you leaving on your way, just take a food from outside. And thank you so much again for coming here and supporting us and for this wonderful lecture. Thank you again.